9. And then we'll have a short time for responses from the group, from the larger group. So don't all speak at once. So the first question is, what is the ministry you are involved in your church? Krishi, I think, gave that answer already. But we can ask the others as well. And the second question is, what are the changes you see in this ministry or changes outside the church which shape this ministry? So we'll answer them together. Krishi, you might want to do the first question also. If you want to elaborate, you're very welcome to do that.
I'm set. Okay, I thought off the hook, I thought the line was coming from there, but okay. So we started serving in the young adult ministry now, which began as a youth ministry about 10 years ago. So we've kind of grown with the group, and some of our members keep referring it back as the youth group, which we promptly correct. We are not youth anymore. Clearly we are not. They may be thinking that they are youth. So we've grown with the group. So I think the label kind of stuck in their head. But there is now there's a youth group, a campus group, and we are the young adult group that we primarily look at. So the age group is about 25 to 35. That's the expected group, and at the age of the group. Lately, and our main focus of the group is actually to kind of look how your work field, your discipline is in line with the faith that you have, and also in another sense build up families which are couples and families which are stronger in the faith. So we partly serve in the marriage ministry as well. I mean, at the moment it's just running the marriage course and the pre-marriage course once a year. That's been our limitation at the moment. But mainly it's with the youth, young adult ministry. And that's the first question. The second question, what changes we see? So growing up with this group, we've seen them grow from probably kids in school or to university who are now striving to become successful in their career. So, and I would say it's a part of probably how the world affects them as well. So I think in a culture of pushing them to be the best they are, it's very limited time that they offer to church. So for example, most of them might consider like what we call in the focus circle as compartmentalized living, where a Sunday attending church is good enough, and Monday to Saturday a disconnect in a sense from faith is like, that's okay. So just be a Sunday person and then a Monday to Saturday person is, I think, I don't know, it's quite predominant in our age group, but some might say it's the same, I suppose, across the age groups. And also, so we generally meet on Fridays. Most of them either are working long hours on Fridays because they want to finish their work off on Friday rather than carrying it over to the next week. Or some of them don't find the need of, like we said, why do we need to meet in a small group? Like, what does this really do apart from what we do on Sunday? And so that's currently been a challenge. And in a sense, even in the striving of, I think, success, some of them are in disciplines that they would say promote social justice. Probably some of them are lawyers. But the question that I had when looking through these questions was the outward community focus. Is it really there? Or are all of us, how do we advance ourselves? They might be in some profession that gives them more of an opportunity example, if they are lawyers, they might get a case from somebody that they may take on, may not take on. But the question that really we have for them is, are you actively going out and seeking those cases, or are you waiting for those cases to drop into your lap when somebody else raises them? So those are the kind of question that we kind of struggle with, but hopefully I answered both sides of how it's affecting from out and out in also.
Thank you. We'll open it out to the others when we finish the first two questions. So Shamini, you can go on to your take on.
Yeah, so what I want to talk about, when I said earlier, also I'm going to talk about the universal church and not just the local churches. What I've been involved in 40 years is the a hospitality ministry, and we have talked about it a lot. Like we talked about, we know it's in the Bible, and Savitri was talking about yesterday. Yeah, to create spaces where people are comfortable and all their needs are met and they feel accepted, and that's very much of a need. So if I go to the the second question about changes, and I was just looking back. So okay, I started getting involved in that maybe in the war years, and that time the situation was different. What was needed then was a lot of Tamil students who were coming from the north and east who were scared to come to Colombo. They didn't know where to stay. They thought that the police will, catch them wherever. And it was creating a space where they felt free to be at home. Now, okay, the war situation has changed, but now more and more I'm seeing people who are in Colombo. I've lived all my life in Colombo. People whose home is not Colombo, one thing. And it's expensive to go back to their homes. So they miss home. That is one thing. The other thing is most kids, like my generation, most of us, we had two parents, a stable family. At least 60-70% of the people of my generation, I think, had that. Now, what we find is the younger generation that I'm involved in, a lot of them have only one parent. Some of them don't have either parents, or they have gone through a lot of trauma in their family lives anyway. They are broken, they are bruised, and then they come to a church where, so why I said universal churches, for me, I long for churches to be places where every youth who is like that, doesn't have a complete family. Yesterday we heard about Savitri and what a families should be. There are a lot of people in our churches who don't have that families, and therefore the church extended family should be that place where they can get that extra family thing. And unfortunately, some churches are doing it, but they are not open enough to the need that is there, that everybody who comes to church is missing something. And like older people, younger people, this intergenerational thing that we see in Focus GCF should be happening in churches also, so that people know that there's a place they can go, talk to, be comfortable. So maybe I'm straying into the third thing, but this is what I've been involved in. This is what I want to see and long to see it happening anyway.
So because you said that you are part of the Nugegoda Methodist
Yes.
Church, can I just add a little bit more of a question?
Yes.
Do you see that type of hospitality
Okay.
coming from your local church?
Yes. So one thing that we do in Nugegoda Methodist, which I was not sure, unfortunately, is most people travel from far to church there. So what we do is we give a lunch to help people to stay at church, get involved in the Bible study, get to know people in church without having to worry where is our lunch coming from. And a lot of them haven't eaten breakfast also. Every Sunday there is lunch in the church. And that helps and frees people to build up community. So that is one good thing that we are doing, yes.
Okay. There'll probably be more questions afterwards, but Krishi, can I also ask you, because you are involved in the young adults ministry, whether there is also an outreach aspect to the ministry where you would reach out to young adults who are not part of the church?
Good question. I think so. We have people again from various background, and couple of them who are quite passionate about social justice or this thing. So I think they kind of bring in their flavor, and we've lately kind of trying to encourage them as they spur us on as well, not to keep the focus on just us growing in faith, but very similar to I think what Uncle Vinod said. Where are the deeds that go along the faith? So I think so. We are I think primarily kind of I think just heard the story towards just I think just growing in our faith. I think we should encourage in our group. We have a couple of them, and I think on our way when we're thinking about how we're answering the questions, we're thinking how we should encourage them more, because they might not have in our eyes the faith standard that we have,
Yeah.
but I think they have much more the social justice. I think just to add on, because some question yesterday that came alongside, if they are doing social justice, and what Uncle Vinod said was just, why we should join them. Like, why not? Why do we? And very similar to, I think, the passage that we read right after the transfiguration, where, the disciples say, there were this group of people who were chasing demons, but they were not part of us. So we went and stopped them. And where Jesus says, why did you stop them? Because I think we have this focus of somehow we are a group, kind of an exclusivity group, I think, which we need to break out of and see and spur on, and I think be encouraged on the things that the others are passionate about. Yeah.
Okay. Natsi.
Yes, so my passion has been to work with children all along. So initially we were in the Nugegoda English service and I was in the Sunday school. But 4 years ago we decided, okay, are we being used enough? So we decided to switch to the Sinhala service. And I'm very grateful because 4 years ago, we got a pastor who follows in the footsteps of Reverend Dulip, who is an absolute evangelist. So I joined the Sunday school, and it was an eye-opener for me, because the children come from very deprived families. For them, going through school even up to O-level is a challenge. So it is hard, but it is challenging, because we have to not only work with the children, but with the parents, with their education system, and even discipline, how to help them be disciplined, because some of them come from Purvarama Road, which is supposed to be quite a dangerous area, because people even are frightened to walk down that after 6 o'clock. Because drugs are very, that's the society they come from. So it's quite challenging to see how to work with them. And even to give them hope about what to do after O-levels. In fact, they don't have any hope sometimes, because they just go through school. I know one child who is in the O-level class. There's no teacher to teach him. And he's supposed to face O-levels next year. So then we thought, okay, I was also asked to join the Methodist Church, has this being responsible for society within and society outside. So I joined that group where they think about how to give them tuition, whether we can fund them. So it's quite hard, because so we tried to join the dots, because there was a child who was going into university. So we said, okay, you start a tuition class, we'll get the children in. But they are not used to coming for a tuition class, because they are used to just hanging around at home. So it's teaching them, they don't have a bit of concentration. They don't have space to run around, so we just have to allow them to run around. So it's quite a challenge, because it's not only the child that we have to look into, we have to look into the whole structure, like the parents, educating parents, how to give them hope, trying to get them through O-levels is a challenge. Then we sometimes have to think, should we ask the parents to switch schools, which we have done. So some of them try to put them to the nearest girls' school, and so sometimes it's very tough. So now actually the tuition has stopped because this child who was doing the tuition has had to move to Ragama because he got into university. So it's like sometimes it's a road we don't see. How are we going to do it? And not everybody is aligned. But I have to say this social responsibility group is very helpful because we try to give them the school books. We have a cupboard where we have all the stationery. So whenever a child says, I don't have a book, they can come and get the stationery from the cupboard. And try to educate parents how to bring the children up. To motivate the parents is also very difficult. So it's like hard road that we go. As well as because of this social responsibility thing, we have got involved with the Anula parents, where they come and stay in church because they come in vans or they bring the children. So we work with the Anula parents, trying to help them to maybe start their own businesses, and with the Anula van drivers. Then we have, Anula is actually the Methodist school that was there next to it was called Girton School Road, but I think somewhere down the line it was taken over and it has become the only Buddhist school in Colombo. So we are working with the Anula parents also, where we meet. Some of us go and meet with them once a week and we teach them sewing. Then we ask them what else. We organize talks for them because some of them are now it's the other end because they are very motivated to get their children into university. And so we try to organize resource people to come and talk to them. And through this social group, we also have a Christmas program in Homagama. There's a little station there, Methodist Church, trying to set up a church there, where we take Christmas gifts for the children, where again, sometimes we don't have enough resource people because we would like to continue a program there regularly, but because there are about 60 odd children who come for that Christmas program from 7 to about 15, but we don't have enough resource people to do a continuous program. So we do a Christmas program where we share the gospel message. Then we also partner with HCF. Now the children's, because I'm in two of these things, so it's overlapping with the social action group also. So we do the hospital, with the Hospital Christian Fellowship, we go to hospitals where we go to the wards during Christmas time and share the gospel message. And one of the big things we have done is, I don't know whether I agreed with it at the beginning, but we have a Christmas Dansala, where that is actually very good in the sense because we invite the people in the area. So I go to the Pola and tell the Pola people, you come for the Dansala, but then I have to leave my life because I have to go and buy vegetables from them the next week. So it's like being salt in the society, but it's tough. So, and there again in the Dansala, we try to share the gospel message, and we have food where there will be people seated at the tables to share any problems, because there are lots of people who come troubled. In fact, I think there was some girl who came going to take her own life, but she came and spoke to the people that day at the Dansala, and she decided she's not going to do it because she was. So we have people, sometimes I think we scatter, but very few only we see coming back into the church. But there are some people who have come to the church from these different programs. But my main thing has been working with the children, which is tiring but challenging, and I love doing.
Okay, thanks a lot. So we've gone through those first two questions. I just want to open the floor to give opportunity to 3 people if they would like to ask questions. So first come, first serve. Don't all speak at once.
Rajan, or maybe they'd like to share something their church is doing.
Right. We'll do. They can do that in the groups. Right?
Ah.
Yeah. There is a mic. So this is. No one. No questions. Okay. So, Was it Jiva? Huh? Okay.
Actually, it's not a question to the panel. It's for all of us. I just like to know, like, who else is involved in ministry to young adults and hospitality ministry? Are there people who are interested in opening homes to people like Shamini is doing? And that kind of thing. Is there going to be a different time for that?
Yeah, that was my next question actually, but that's okay. But it's good you brought that up, so we won't forget to ask that. Yes, Niranjani. Niranjala.
So it's a Li and not a La.
Ranjani. It's a knee, right.
Okay. So I've been asked to stand. So it's it's actually a question not just to the panel but to everyone here. It kind of recaps what we've also been learning from yesterday. These are my thoughts, and while there's a question in them, there's also a sharing. So I think it's Krishi was talking about the social justice thing, and also Dr. Vinod spoke about how we try to separate, in a way, compartmentalize what we do. Like, for instance, if we work in social justice and then we unintentionally think we are set apart from people, we don't know how to get together. So you were saying we need to stop thinking that way. We need to join, and you quoted, I felt quite aptly what Jesus said. If they're doing something in my name, join them. They may not know the Lord though. And I think for me, what I found was, it's also in my learning over the years, is that we don't set the standard, God does. And as we know, He's not changing. He doesn't change. We need that focus. And I think we lose that focus. We get so caught up in ministry and our faith and who we are as Christians, and we are growing and all that kind of thing. And as Dr. Vinod very nicely spoke to us, and I really appreciated what he said to us, never forget that we are saved by grace, not because it's not an inheritance, it's not an entitlement. We are just forgiven sinners, and we should never forget that. So, and in our culture, I myself come from a mixed religious background. I married a Hindu. God's grace saved me, and He is also in the Lord. So that background also helps me to see we are all coming from different places, and I might have come to the Lord yesterday, but doesn't make me any less important, and it doesn't make me any less worthy in what I can contribute or have contributed, because God is sovereign and He has always used me, whether I knew it or not. And people are doing that in our country. And we keep thinking that's Buddhist, that's Hindu, that's this. But all we need to do is love and do show God's, I don't know whether I'm going off track, but what I wanted to say is, do we think that do we forget that we are in the comma and sometimes we are the comma? That his work is not yet complete, obviously not in the world and obviously not in us. We keep saying we're works in progress, but we sometimes think we are so complete and that we can look at people and say, oh, they're not doing this because he's not a believer, he's not a Christian, he's well, Muslim or atheist or whatever. But that's not for me to say, that's not for us to say. God has the ultimate word, and all we are just instruments, and we are just supposed to be subject and surrendered to Him all the time. And when we say, Lord, let thy will be done here on earth as it is in heaven, we say that prayer, but are we saying it with our hearts? So this is just my thoughts and a recap of everything.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Please.
What were the challenges in hospitality ministry and how did you overcome?
Shamini.
Am I to answer now?
Yeah. Can you?
I was going to come to it in my
Okay.
answering the
Okay,
third
then
one.
that's fine.
Okay.
We'll.
Okay.
Yeah,
come.
remember to make sure that she answers that. Rahul. Sorry.
You can? You can ask another question. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait till Subi finishes.
He has got the mic at the moment.
So my name
Yeah, it's okay. We can hear
my
you.
name is Subitsan. I'm partially partially volunteering in kids ministry with Via Sri Lanka. I hope you may know that.
Vincent.
So when we were doing exposure trips and workshops, so our motive is to like give the exposure to the kids by telling what we can do, what they can do after the O levels. But recent days we are getting some feedback from others like why we are not preaching the gospel, because we are working with the non-Christian kids. So after that feedback, I was thinking about the balance of giving them what they need to know, like for example, like what they can do after the O levels, and also telling about the gospel. So how to maintain the flow. For example, we cannot directly start from the gospel when we are working with the kids, because obviously the kid won't listen to us. Like, first of all, we have to build a good relationship with the kid so that he will listen what we are telling. So I just want to have a question. What is the correct optimal flow of I hope you understand the question.
Yeah.
Also, it was a question, right? So just for the others, if you don't know Via Sri Lanka is it started as a very small group founded by a couple of doctors just to, it wasn't separated out as sharing the gospel in terms of word, but also in terms of helping people and helping communities around the country. And I think focus students have been going to these places on exposure trips, and I think Subitsan was one of them. And then some of them have got involved in the ministry itself. So now this whole thing about overtly sharing the good news of Jesus, he wants to know what the flow is. Does anyone want to answer that, or
Shall we leave it for the time?
we'll leave
being?
it for the last?
It will come.
Okay.
Mm.
So I want to go to the next question.
Preeti wanted a question.
Preeti. Yeah. So we have one more big question which we want them to answer first, and then we can. Anika, you're too late to answer. Yeah, you can ask the question in the groups. There are groups. There's group time. but you can ask it later as well. So the third question is from what you have learned on the GCF Camp 2025. How do you think that will impact the ministry that you are involved in your local church? Or the universal church in the case of Shamini.
Okay, so how we've heard, especially I think from the Beatitudes and how it impacts, is I think one of the things about this compartmentalized living is that, you know, when you go to Sunday to church and when, you know, your pastor or your priest says that, you know, we need to be the church outside in the world, it's very different to hearing it on a Monday from the world to say that you need to be a church in the world. I don't know if I'm expressing myself. Inside the church compound or inside the church building, when the priest says we need to be the church out there, you hear it very differently when you hear the same message by a normal person outside to say that you need to be the church out here. Because we are in a very safe environment on a Sunday. Most of us feel like we are already being the church somehow in our own way. And but when you see the struggles outside, and when you hear that message, the same message probably the same person even in a different context, and you hear it probably very loud and very clear sometimes. So that's one thing that I wanted to just add before. So I think that's one of the things that I've learned a lot. I think being in focus, how you live your faith not only on one day, but really how does Jesus be a Lord and Savior throughout your week, or is he just a Sunday pick up and a Sunday drop off just at the church entrance, or how do you take him? This is a question that I asked my younger dad. Do you take him to work on come Monday? Do you take Jesus to work with you, or just do you leave it behind at home? Maybe that's a question that I struggle with often, and we post it also. But in terms of answering, how are we to change? How has it changed? In my context, I picked a couple of Beatitudes, I think. So first is, blessed are the meek, because the meek people, as Uncle Vinod explained, are people whose ambition is not inward, but outward. But if we really ask ourselves, I think all of us, want the best for ourselves, want the best for our kids. But which is, I don't think it's wrong. But then when it stops there, I think that's a problem. Because if we really don't look out, and one of the examples that he brought out about, the opportunity of, I think it struck me in the morning when we were up here playing the keyboard, where he said, there might be a community where they've never heard what music is. And if we don't go out and create that opportunity for a set of people who is not easy, working with people or teaching people who have no clue about what you're teaching, who may not even be interested in it. But the thing is, have they been offered the opportunity? That's it. That's, I think, our task. And of course, then the struggle of, if they are, how do you take it on? I think so. That was one of the things that we I think, need to look at in changing how, because most of, I think, our young adults in our group, I would say, are well able. Then not like in a place of struggle. So it's very comfortable, I think, in being in their quote unquote success story of living their lives out. But how do you turn their view from inward to outward? How do you make them meek in that sense? And also, another beatitude that I looked at is, blessed are the poor in spirit. And again, I think very similar, where we are, I think a very nice way of putting it is that we are because God is, was quite the thing I think we miss sometimes. We think that we are so, we are blessed in a way that we have, parents who are able to send us, I would say, to private school, and we are blessed enough probably to make it to state university, free education. So proudly we speak about. But the conversations that heard around, like how much of us really, stay back and see the gifts, however flawed, however fallen it might be, the glimpses of the kingdom, the glimpses of God in those things. How do we pick them up, and how do we try to again shift our focus from being all great about ourselves to being how is this unknown story about someone. And about ministry, I think one of the things that we've come to realize, and I think we tell ourselves is, I think we've realized to I think the sooner we came to that reality was easier for us. We are most probably not going to see the fruit of our labor in our lifetime. I think the sooner we came to that understanding, it was easy on us, because sometimes we serve hoping to see the change. And probably we might never see that change. We might die and go. And very similar again to that story of Desmond Tutu. I don't know if the priest was around to see Tutu winning the prize, or, the lives that Desmond Tutu impacted. But that's our call, I think. Our call is to sow, and then to hope someone else would come by that side and water, and it's God who truly grows that seed. So one of the things that we want to leave behind and encourage, I think, our young adults is keep sowing regardless of it, because that's what the sower did. He just kept sowing and kept moving on. And the circumstances and the people that come alongside might be very different. And who knows how many lives, that one life that we impacted may go on to change. And we may never truly see that. We might die and go. So, but that's ministry.
Thank you. Shamini.
Yeah. So when Subi was asking the question, I remembered something that I meant to tell and I forgot. Like when I talk about hospitality, so what I say, you start by meeting physical needs of people. So people either need a room to stay or some food, some physical need. But it leads to very deep conversations. I mean, it's when people's physical needs are met, they open up emotionally and spiritually. That's how you create spaces. So, like what I was reminded about a Muslim girl, we just 2-3 years back, we met at a bookshop close by to our house. She was buying books, we were buying books. We chatted to her. And then we realized she lives close by, and then we just invited her as a friend. And then after that, we realized she's having problems, the mother and father having these problems. So she got closer and closer to her. And over the last few months, we've got so many chances to talk to her about the gospel in our home. It started just as a friendship. But as you get to know, it's when you share things and eat together, and then you get a lot more opportunities. So that is one thing, that this physical and the physical help and the spiritual help are all tied together. And only when you do things together and help people and understand people, that you can talk about Jesus, has been my experience. That's just one answer for that. They are going to the Beatitudes thing and everything that we have learned. So for me, if people say, okay, you open your home, how do you do it? I said, it's not how do I do it, but how I am blessed by it. And for me, over the 40 years that I've done it, I have learned something from every single person who has passed through my door. I have learned, and my character has been molded. So it is initially, okay, you think it's my invasion of my space, it's invasion of my privacy, it's invasion of this, it's invasion of that. But in doing that, we learn to understand how blessed you are, how, how to learn to accommodate somebody else, to put in this, we talked about, okay, it's not what you do, but becoming the person that God wants you to be. And with each person you meet and try to do something, your character gets changed. That's what my experience is. So it's no longer like a burden, because especially people might, okay, over 60, I see friends of mine who are getting very rigid, very, irritated, not wanting to share, not want to do things. But this is one way of God keeping me not rigid. I feel that okay to learn new things, learn from the younger generation. Then you can get all your tech problems sorted out by them. You can get a lot of other problems that we are getting sorted because you have these young people coming in. So you are blessed and they bless you by just sharing from each other. So so I feel it's a way of our character changing. And you don't have to do big things. That's the other thing I just want to say. You don't need money for it. You don't need space for it, in my opinion, because, okay, people can say that you have a biggish house. So nobody's asking to do what we do like that. But I started in a 1-bedroom apartment with a hall. That's how we started. And we were blessed that time also. So it doesn't matter the resources. That's another thing I just want to say. You don't need resources that much. You need a heart. If you have a heart of love and wanting to change, you will be blessed. And that is just something I wanted to share.
Yeah, thank you. So it's about making a change where you are rather than trying to do something big, which may not be within your reach at this point. That's it.
So, one thing that I think we go from the other side, because I'm primarily a Sunday school teacher. So we are trying to teach them, and in the process, get close to them and learn what their physical difficulties are, and visit them in their homes and see their environmental backgrounds to understand why they act the way they act. So I think something we have learned, I guess, from then our focus teaching is how to balance social action and speaking, giving them the word. So I come from teaching and how I live my life, because it's children are watching me. Children from this background is watching me. So I know sometimes I make my family very uncomfortable, because just the last week, I had to be the pickup of a 8-year-old and bring her home. So nobody knew that I was bringing her home, because it was like on the run, I had to make decisions. So as well as, I think one thing is that we are working with the poor, in the sense people who are broken people, because they come from broken families. Parents are broken, they don't have jobs. So I see that the Beatitudes are really relevant, what we learned yesterday. And one thing I thought I should do is, we are all the time like trying to discipline them without seeing the positives, because we also can learn from them, their resilience. And there's one boy who is very naughty. But the other day I said, because today was Children's Sunday, he's checked at every turn. So 2 Sundays ago, I told him, okay, you're going to play the drums. And his eyes almost popped out, because he thought he's not going to be given any part in the service, because he's so naughty. So I was very happy I could see him playing. So he went immediately to learn to play the drums. So it's like we are trying to build bridges, not only with the child, and it's with the family, it's the society that they live in, that we have to make bridges. So I think there's a lot that I can go and share back with my Sunday school teachers, because sometimes we take only the teaching, but I think we have to take the whole person, the whole family, the whole community into consideration when we are working with children.
Okay, thanks. Okay, if you remember your timetable, we have gone over time, but we thought we'll give the opportunity, especially because we promised Preeti and a few others who had questions or even comments, but just make sure it is concise, please.
So my question is to Nadasha, because you moved from the English congregation to the Sinhala congregation. So my question is, how the way you saw things changed when you moved from the English congregation to Sinhala congregation? As I remember, English congregation is quite posh congregation. Not only in Nugagoda Methodist Church, because I have been there for some time back, but also in most of the churches, the English congregation is the first congregation. So how it changed, and how you can bring your experience with the Sinhala congregation to the English congregation, or influence the English congregation to be more aware about the society.
Yeah, I was very worried because there's an English congregation person here. I thought I'll get a few arrows from him. But actually, yeah, there's a lot that the English, I guess, from thinking from now, I think we should mobilize some of the English congregation actually to understand. Because very often there's no understanding between the English and the Sinhala congregation, because they always think they are always in need. But actually, when you really go to the bottom basics, English congregation is very privileged. So that's why I said, Rahul, I'm very worried because you are in this. So I'm hoping that. Yeah, so it's, I think we have to work. So these 4 years we have been working, maybe we have to see how we can mobilize.
Okay.
Going to the Sinhala congregation, I don't know. I think it's my family background that helped. Because I think before coming to the Methodist church, we were in the Baptist church. And there again, I have to appreciate Ruan's mother, who started a ministry with the slum children. In the children who came to the Sunday school were from Maria Kade and all those very deprived areas. So it was, I think I found it very easy. I don't know about my family. My daughter is still in the English congregation. But I think from my young days, maybe God prepared me, I don't know. Because my father worked in very remote areas with farmers. For me to go into a farmer's house was no problem. Because we were told, you don't make, you just go and enjoy it. So I learned from my young days to associate with people. Actually, I don't find it very difficult going into a Purarama house and sitting down and having a plain tea with them. So I think it is God prepared me for this ministry, and I'm pulling the Ruan along in that. I don't know how he feels. You'll have to ask him how he feels about it.
Okay. Thanks. Preeti?
Okay, I'm Prithviraj too. Yeah, just thank you for that.
Preetis who have questions.
Yeah, my question is that, I mean, the gospel is all about breaking down barriers and walls, not erecting. So in that sense, any experience you can share, how the church setting that communion Sundays, because sometimes some of the churches, it's about numbers. So everyone comes together and 3,000, 4,000 numbers. But is there any experience? How have you all used that as an opportunity? Because I have seen sometimes people still stay in their cliques, like English speaking, thing like that. Have you all attempted anything, any success stories in that? If you can share that, thank you.
Yeah. So does anyone want to
There is
respond
a
to
connected question also.
Preeti, the second question?
There is a connected question.
Okay, Anika.
Okay, so my question is on the performative nature of church, because I think most of us worship in a couple of mainline churches as well, where we spend a lot of resources on instruments like musical instruments and microphones and all these things. And sometimes service itself, the service aspect of church itself has become very performative. So how do we as a community respond to this, and not being a part of it and encouraging them But how do we actively respond to the performative nature that church has become with programs and like all these kinds of things that we do?
Can I respond?
No. Yes.
Yeah, so I have been having this concern about our church. Our church is a bit, I'm only involved in the English congregation, but I realize that we've developed coming to church as a sort of consumer act. Right, so the people in the pews are the consumers, and there are few providers, the worship leaders, the people who sing, and so on. And everybody's happy to be a consumer rather than be a part of the body which has different functions according to giftings. So I know there are lots of people from my church here, but I'm sure if they think about it, they'll realize that we have made our faith a sort of consumer sport, if you like. You know, there's this famous saying that it's like a football match, that there are 22 people desperately in need of rest being watched by 22,000 people desperately in need of exercise. That's the picture of the church. And I think that's true in the bigger churches as well. Of course, I mean, I don't know whether it's true in the smaller churches, but it's true in the bigger churches. And I think we need to break that down. And the secret is for people to find their gift and then be given opportunities to exercise that gift. But that involves the performers being willing to bring down the standard of the performance. So that's to answer your question, Alex. Anyone else who wants, there's a question behind my back.
This is to Shamini. I don't know, in the ministries that was not spoken, what Romala also, I'm answering Romala also. I'm involved with women and widows. I think the widows, mostly young widows, and they're lonely and alone at home. They won't come to my house. They ask me to come to their house. When I go, they will ask me to stay with them, spend the night with them. Then I struggle to balance my family and them as priority. But I take the chance and I go and stay with them. It is a break for me also, but it is difficult for me. Resources, okay. As you say, when I work with women, I have all the resources to share and give, and physically and emotionally. But this going and staying with widows, there are a lot of, some are in Candy, they will call, and I can't refuse. I feel difficult to say no. So I go. Then how do I balance that? That is a struggle for me.
Right. Okay. So I think maybe we need someone else. Okay, Roshant. Roshant was originally part of this.
Romalaka also asked me to share about the ministry, not the ministry, like what I was involved in our church. I am part of the men's fellowship at Kalmuna Methodist Church. So we have a men's fellowship secretary who is very active. He is working with Compassion Lanka. So he is very enthusiastic about developing this men's fellowship, and it was quite an active men's fellowship. We used to visit families, like we get together and we used to church members, families who have been admitted in the hospital or recovering or something, we visit them. So that is one thing that we do. And we try to meet every other month for a Saturday night Bible study and dinner. So that was also something that good thing that we do. About once a year or maybe twice a year, we had gone on trips, trips in the sense one weekend off. Like we have gone to Komari. And we joined the church there. We took their men's fellowship people also, and we went out to for fishing there in the lagoon, and we cooked our food, fish in the night, and like that. That was a good time. We got to know a lot of people in our church fellowship, men's fellowship, and their men's fellowship, and it was an encouragement for them also. So this is something that I would like to share, that it was we are studying the Bible also, and I shared in one of the meetings, I shared about the Nicene Creed, about the origin of the Nicene Creed and what is it all about, and others appreciated a lot, because this kind of teaching they didn't get it from the church. But one of the challenges that we are facing is nowadays, those who had been active, like 2 or 3 people have gone abroad now. So that is always people are wanting to go abroad to improve the family situation. So I feel I can't tell them not to go abroad. I know there are problems, but I feel to tell them not to go abroad, because there is poverty there. So there is poverty. So if I am not doing anything to improve their lifestyle, how can I go and tell them not to go abroad, right? They some or other, they try to go abroad. And nowadays I see another trend. Just after ordinary levels, OLs, the youngsters, they don't study AL. They have already planned to go abroad. Like, so some or other, they want to go abroad, either Qatar or Saudi or somewhere, and do some job and come back. And so I feel that I can't tell anything to them, because I'm not doing anything to improve their lifestyle, because they have very poor English knowledge. They don't think of studying. Education is out. Like, so. So I see a big difference between my children and their others' children, like, because my children are privileged and they have all the opportunities. As you said, they have all the opportunities, but they don't have. So how am I going to do something? So sometimes I think whether I'll introduce AI to them, right? Because I'm not going to do it. Teach them. So at least the AI in the WhatsApp, they are always WhatsApping. In broken English, they are WhatsApping. You put to the AI, it will correct your English at least and tell. So whether I can encourage AI to them. So, and one thing I want to ask Chavineka, you are giving breakfast and lunch. At least breakfast, how much will it cost for 100 member congregation?
No, not breakfast and lunch, only lunch.
Only lunch you are giving. Yeah. So how much will it cost for 100 people for a lunch?
4,000 rupees for 100 people. Just
100 people, 4,000 rupees.
Rice and tea. It's only rice and dal and sambal, or rice and TVP.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
The budget is 4,000.
4,000. So it's amazing, because
60 people. 60 people.
60 people, right? Okay, yeah. So that's really good, actually.
I think some people, some of the rice we get a donation.
Even rice, dal, and sambal can have for breakfast also. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
4,000 rupees for 60 people. Okay. Thank you. That's eye opener.
Thanks, Roshant. Can I just make a comment about your frustration with people wanting to go overseas? We have always been worried about people wanting to go overseas, but they are going anyway. So what if we change our thinking and consider them to be like missionaries to those places. So we prepare them. We say, you want to go abroad? We'll give you a training to just share the gospel by conversation. So that not everybody is going to do it, but at least some might. Because we are trying to break something that is very hard to break if we are not going to change their situation. What if we think about it that way? Just a thought. Right, we're going to break now into groups. We're going to push the lunch time by 30 minutes. So you have 30 minutes in the group. If you can quickly get into your groups without chatting in between.
Yesterday's groups.
Yesterday's groups. There may be some people less who may have left, but please get into the group.
Even 1 minute.
Yeah.
Sorry, just 1 minute because of that Preeti
Yesterday's
tour.
groups and yesterday's places.
Mark, just 1 minute. Just that Preeti 2 or Preeti 1 now, the senior Preeti's question. Just I wanted to say something. You were talking about breaking barriers. I think one of the most important thing is
Can we see,
the
please?
way we act.